Yeah, this is gonna be one of my more shorter, like, length videos. I actually wanted to make it like 15 minutes or like shorter, but I don't think I can get out everything I need to say in that such a short time span. You know, how I like to just talk nonstop, give out nonstop shout outs to all these people and stuff. But I finally figured out and cracked the whole code and like meaning behind it. It's like the difference between Canada and America, at least initially, when, especially when I was growing up, my parents would like, take a few trips stateside to see family, and then you'd like, always get that rhetoric, at least for me, like, for my family, like, hey, at least we're in Canada, it's so much more better here, we have, like, it's safer, there's less, like, crime, this and that, nobody has any guns, right? Like, in those times, specifically. And I bring that up as a point now because we went from that to a gun buyback program, which is more or less targeting legal citizens and forcing them to adhere to another like overly strict, gun protection law, gun preventative protection law. And like why these things are done is basically so on the books when these people who like carry out these crimes and they have firearms on them, if they want to fight it in court, they don't have that good of a case anymore because of such heavy reform to like the bail laws and now like these super high. I don't know exactly when. I think they said something like July or March, even as close as March. I think they pushed it back all the way to July. So it's like now the new gun laws are just so strict that like it's supposedly gonna go back to like the old way it was in Canada, where you just like feel like severe with like due process over like people carrying like illegal firearms or using firearms to do like explicitly bad things. Like I commented on a story how like this Sikh guy basically, I don't know if it was the bus driver, like the news articles are actually kind of conflicting. Some say it's the bus driver, some say it's the passenger, and then he followed her with like a replica gun. And like you probably like be able to get away with that if you were more closer to Toronto or you had like someone more naive, that you're like, trying to basically kidnap and stuff. But, thank God that she, had her street smarts and like she knew it was a fake gun and called it in because this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a very open criminal, and I won't even get into the whole aspect about how like we have like apparently cops who are giving off like and this is on the news, by the way, giving out leads to hitmen to like murder people. So we're living in that like kind of dangerous of a society and stuff. And like you should have seen the way they got arrested and stuff. It was just like a bunch of cars like pulling into their driveway and stuff. And you see him, he has his like hand on his gun, and he's just like surrounded. And it's just like it's so fascinating to actually see how cops will like actually deal with it when it happens to them in their like field of occupation, because even though you very much rely on them, unfortunately, because one of the reasons why I actually want to move to America is the ability to own a firearm. As baffling as that seems, it's possibly the most safest thing that you can have. Like if you can be in a state where you can have a gun on your car, gun in your house, gun open carry, you know what I mean? Like that's what you would want, because again, like these, I didn't want to bring this up, but I think I really have to. So I know like a lot of people watch the Super Bowl. I bitched out my family. I didn't want to see my brother or anything. I was just like, yo, fuck this. That's my own personal shit. But like, like I'm actually kind of glad that like, because like subjecting my whole family to that shit. Like, holy shit, this fucking halftime Super Bowl show was like fucking gay as fuck. We're talking about Bad Bunny. He didn't wear a dress. I thought he was gonna wear a dress. It's fine. Little Baby Gaga. I was about to say Little Gaga. I don't know why. Oh, and Enrique Iglesias. Like I said, gayest halftime show ever. Can you imagine all these guys popping up on roids and shit? Nobody's fucking legit. Everybody's just like this, like fanboy from like yesteryear, the boomers, this and that. And then like they gotta go watch this halftime show. It's like, what the fuck is this? Do you even speak Spanish? Like, what percentage of the American population speaks Spanish? And it's like, yo, I guarantee you, there's more Canadians in Canada that can speak French than there are Americans. Speak Spanish, and what do you have like over 10 times our population density? 10 times our population. It's like a fucking ridiculous number. Like our population is the state of no, yeah, the entire state of New York. That's the population of Canada. Oh man. And then I suddenly realized something like the whole idea about you know like you get older and you get less relevant, and like Asmongold's bringing this up about how um what's her face, Casey Tron, right? Casey Tron, all these people are being fucking doesn't matter that they got sued. You think that like after getting sued and like being bitched out in front of the internet, you'd have like a little bit more self respect to not just fuck around and find out yet again. But it's like when you're ugly and you have no attention, and like they think that they've won because again they think that Emery is like a weak stupid person that like they could just push around and stuff. And like, I'm not saying like she's a very confrontational type of person. I don't think she is the type, especially with her, almost like you know what I mean. Like it's empathetic, but then again, I'm not a girl, so I don't know. I don't live that world, right? Where you suddenly have to apologize for the bad behavior of individuals illegally entering into your country, despite the fact that a lot of them are criminals, like hardcore ass criminals that do like serious ass crimes and shit. And you can always point, like everybody else does, to the cases where that innocent child, that woman, that Percy didn't deserve to die, and it's just like, yeah, but what about these criminals that they're protecting? Like, what do they do? Like, there's this one story of this like lady out of Florida, and her daughter got like basically like essayed and like everything by this like migrant. And you can only imagine just like from her perspective watching all these protests and these like especially what was his name again? The guy who like basically destroyed his entire career by being a fucking non. He couldn't stop touching people. I think like that's probably why he got the job. The Mandalorian. That's what I'm gonna call him now. The Mandalorian. And he's at the Super Bowl halftime show. It's like, yo, all the losers like fucking rolling up on the halftime Super Show. Hey, yo, what the fuck is the point, man? Waste your fucking time. Waste your goddamn life. You're better off just lifting weights, smoking weed, drinking. Straight up. Like, what was the fucking point of that? And then it dawned on me, like, it's the same thing that everybody else does, right? Like, okay, so everybody has this thing where I call it like self-residual image, like from the Matrix, if you will, where like you enter into the Matrix and you have this like ideal image of how you look, right? And it's very plain and ordinary, and like, oh, you have everything intact, all your teeth, your ears, you're not scarred or anything. It's just like this is how your body, your mind remembers you. And if you take that and then metaphorically apply the idea that people have like use that self-residual image as like a kind of means to create this archetype, this role for themselves in this experimental society, brand new and stuff, never seen before, brand new and improved society. You go from like a couple 100,000 to a couple million to like tens of millions. That's the new and that's the improvement. It's always that the idea, despite the fact that that a lot of the people that are entering into these countries aren't productive. It's just like the more the merrier, right? Because it's like, well, on paper we have these many people, so if we tax them. And like the older generation, they've lost it because it really dawned on me when like, and I spoke about this before about how like LTG, Low Tier God, has like a hairpiece, and how there's this one video. It's so dumb. Well, it's dumb for me because it's like just give it up. Like if you don't have your hair, just shave it off and just like work out like crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? What else do you have to lose? Well, you want to fucking play Street Fighter and then have your fucking chickily noodle ass legs and stuff. And you guys on juice, eh? But like besides the point, right? He's watching this like, I don't know, this TikTok or something, this YouTube video about like hair transplants and shit, and then like, some like I don't know, something where they use like the DNA or something, and then he's just like, oh shit, and then he goes like quiet for like 10, 15 seconds, and like yo, initially I thought he was just like clowning, you know what I mean, like how like streamers do to dress up their like chat rooms and shit, but again, like the video by Daily Low Tier God, I gotta subscribe to. Dude, I have so many fucking subscriptions. It's like it's getting nuts. I gotta start unsubscribing from people who aren't like making content. Like free up my fucking YouTube, browser thingy. But so he's getting like so heated over it, and especially because of like that previous video by the aforementioned Daily Low Tier God that shows him just like scratching his hair and the entire hair unit just like moving, and now it makes so much sense. It's like the same reason why Low Tier God always scratches his scalp, itchy ass scalp, because his hair is fucking shaved underneath it. Oh shit, man! I gotta get one of those things where he just like grafted the hair onto my or tattooed it like Boozy. Dog, this is like it. And here's the thing: like I've never really thought about like getting bald as being ugly that much. At least when I was growing up and stuff, right? And then as I got older, like my dependency on my long hair was specifically because I live in Canada. It's cold, right? Like why would I want to have short hair? I was gonna fucking freeze my ass off, and I'd just have some long hair, give my neck some extra protection. And then I think I spoke about this like in one of my videos like a few days, maybe a few videos ago. Sorry, not a few days ago. About how for the longest time I've had scars on my forehead, right? And I had to put tattoos over them to cover them up. Actually, I need to get them touched up because I asked the gentleman to put them on, and he was like, "Well, you might want to put it on like a little bit light, and then just in case if anything goes bad, you can do something about it." Because he was probably hesitant about giving me that tattoo in the first place because he's like, I understand you're trying to cover up scars with it, but like, in the case that you can like, get it fixed another means, right? Because he just looks at me, he's like, you don't have any tattoos, right? It's like, all right, and he was actually shocked that I was like sitting down. I didn't really. Oh, I think I didn't move. Maybe I did. Like I twitched a little bit. I think I got the tattoos relatively well, but like I gotta get it touched up again. So for the longest time, I'll just walk around the mall, or pretty much everywhere with like a hat on, a bandana extra, so like my sweat doesn't go into my hat or whatever. And like everybody thought I was balding. Like I think it was just like an expected realization, especially after like I was just like wearing a hat. I'd say from 2023 up until just recently. So I'd say the beginning of January, I was still wearing a hat before I got the tattoo. I got my tattoos on January 20th. So when I went out, like subsequently the week after, right? And I think like the dude told me not to like do that or whatever. I just felt like showing off and shit. So it's like, yo, just chill. You don't have to like, whatever, and let it heal normally and stuff. Um, I got all these looks. Like I said, like people were like walking in front of me. People were just like looking straight at me. They were just like spacing the fuck out, and it didn't really like bother me up until I saw this guy I grew up with like watching on like YTV, and I think like a couple of other things. Like he was just like this like old, not old, like he's just slightly older than me, 43, like an oldish Canadian actor, comedian. He's pretty famous. His name is Jay Buccelli or something like that. Sorry if I butchered that. So I'm so anti-Canadian. Oh shit, because this guy has like a literal Canadian maple leaf tattooed on his chest. But like even I would like, consider that guy like growing up like, oh, he's just like, this adorable looking like guy and stuff, you know what I mean? Like this guy who like had this very youthful look to him and stuff. And then I just saw him recently on this was like a commercial for Bell, I believe, Bell Canada or something like I don't know if it's the internet or phone plan. And when I saw his hairline, I was just like, wait, what? So I snooped on the guy. I went on his Instagram, and then I realized like, yo, ever since basically like a decade ago, he's been like that. It's just like getting worse and worse, and like you know, people getting the surgeries to cover it up, people getting hair pieces, and even people just like who are straight up bald, like Lakari and Tectone, who like are the most unpopular motherfuckers out right now. Like I basically like blocked all the videos off of Tectone because it's like the idea that you're somehow innocent, but the judge passed like a 10-year like whatever order on you to like not be around this woman, not own a firearm. Like that's one thing. If she wants a restraining order, but then the other part is just like it's like weird. Like why would you have that? And I realized like just like Jeffrey Epstein, just like all these self-delusional men, uh, they never got the memo. Like there was a cutoff point in this guy's life where you can argue that maybe I don't know his like previous relationship with this what was it Pink Chew? Like fuck it hell. But it's just like, did it ever like occur to you or to Lakari or to Hassan or to anybody else that like if you're gonna be like going through these things in your life, especially at a young age, that if you have a kid, then more than likely that kid's gonna go through the exact same thing. The exact same thing. But they just have this selfishness about them. They're basically like they don't care if their child winds up a bastard because they just want to have sexual intercourse. They're just horny. Like, I honestly think that the delusions that these individuals have, all the way up to Jeffrey Epstein and stuff, to like, spread the seed and like, penis pump and like, appear to be the cool guy and just huddle around other people. It's just, it's woefully apparent that like, they've not only lost but they're dragging the entire human race with us. Like nobody cares about these fucking ICE protests. Real talk. No matter how much the media wants to beat down on you, nobody gives a shit about these fucking illegal immigrants. Right? Like who gives a shit?